All right, good morning, boys and girls and friends at home. Today we're going to continue our journey with fractions, and we've got a new lesson in store for us with a new skill. So we're going to start by reading our learning target on the count of 25. 3, 2, 1. We can build non-unit fractions less than one whole from unit fractions. Okay, so a lot of unit fractions in there. And we're going to do something different. Today we are going to build, and we're going to build non-unit fractions. Now, if you remember, here's my vocabulary word card. A unit fraction names just one. Eyes up here. Unit fraction names just one. So, and yesterday we learned a shortcut. We learned how to write our fractions numerically, so we no longer have to use unit form and write out those long words that we have the vocabulary cards up there for. So put your markers in your parking lot, and boys and girls at home, we're going to do a little bit of practice on the whiteboard, and then we're going to go right to our template, which has been uploaded for you. All right, so I'm going to show you how to partition a circle into thirds. All right, you'll practice this another time. The markers are in your parking lot. All right, now if you know what a peace sign looks like, you can draw a peace sign, but you don't want to do this. What's wrong with that? They're not equal. Thank you, Lucas. So when you draw your peace sign, you got to come down here, and you got to make sure you spread these little legs on your peace sign a little bit further. There, did that look better? Okay. So I have 3 equal parts. So my fraction is 1/3. This is 1/3 in unit form, but I can write it numerically by writing 1/3. Okay? What if I shade 2? I no longer have 1/3. Let's count them, class. I have 1/3, 2/3, 2/3. Let's do that again. Everybody count with me. 1/3, 2/3. So now I have 2/3, and if I write that numerically, I would write 2/3 like that. Now remember, the 2 at the top, the numerator represents what? How many we are shading, how many we are counting. The denominator didn't change. You tell me why the denominator didn't change. Only the numerator changed. Cam, why didn't the denominator change? Very nice, bud. So if you couldn't hear him, he said it didn't change because there's still 3 equal parts. Okay, the denominator is not talking about the shaded or the unshaded. The denominator is always referring to the 3 equal parts, the total number of parts of whole. That's how we identify what unit we're working with. Okay, so let's try a different one. So we did it with a circle. Now I'm going to do something kind of crazy. I'm going to take a square. I don't know if I can make this look like equal parts or not. I'm going to make this side a little bit shorter. Right now, how many parts do I have? 4. My unit would be 4th. Yeah, but we're not done yet. All right, now how many equal parts do I have? Eli. Answer in a complete sentence, please. 8 equal parts. See, I want to make sure you're using the words equal parts or 8 equal parts. So my unit is called, Freya? 8. All right, so I'm going to shade in 1 part, and so we're going to call that 1/8. That is a unit fraction. We're talking about 1. It's a unit fraction. Right here it is. It's a unit fraction. And we can write it numerically like this. 1/8. But what, instead of just shading in 1, count with me, class. I'm going to shade in 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. I'm going to shade in 3/8. So now when I write it, I will write 3/8, and when I write it numerically, my numerator changed because I'm building, just like my learning target says, a non-unit fraction. My numerator's not counting 1 anymore, it's counting 3. Okay? All right, very good. Now I want you guys to try it. So pick up your dry erase markers. And friends at home, I'll probably give you guys the same example on a template on Seesaw. So usually when we are making fractions, we draw a long rectangle. Go ahead and draw a long rectangle, boys and girls. We don't know what unit we're using yet because we have not decomposed it or partitioned it. So first thing I want you to do is write down the middle as best as you can, draw a line. We have two equal parts, those are called halves. But we're going to do something else. We're going to split each half in half. How many equal parts do we have now, Ori? 4 equal parts, that means our unit is fourths. Let's shade one of them. Write the fraction that is shaded in unit form, If you write it in unit form, what would you write? Just went over it. No. Unit form, thank you, Lucas. Very good, you got it both. Okay, thank you, Val. So if we write it in unit form, we write with our words 1/4. Remember, that's unit form. Please write it if you didn't. 1/4. Now, if we want to write it numerically, we can say 1/4 also equals numerically 1/4. Okay? These are both unit fractions. This is unit form and this is numeric form or fraction form. Okay? All right, let's do this. Let's color in another one here. And let's color in this last one here just to make it kind of funky. Now, let's change our representation. We no longer have 1/4. What do we have, class? Let's count them. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So we have to change our unit form. And then if we write it numerically, we would write 3/4. What does 3 represent? Rago. The 3 shaded parts. What does the 4 represent? Owen. All of the parts in the whole, okay? And we always have to count all of the parts so we know what unit we're working with. We're working with fourths because there's 4 equal parts. I have 3/4 because we built a non-unit fraction by shading in 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Okay? Put those away and let's go right to our workbook page. All right? That's what we're going to be doing today, boys and girls, building non-unit fractions, which means fractions that our numerator is not 1. Okay, so let's read these directions at the top of the page. It says, complete the number sentence. So that's the first thing we want to do. Let's number our directions. The first thing we've got to do is complete the number sentence. Have we got that numbered? Hayden, complete the number sentence. Next thing we have to do is estimate to partition each strip equally. So the next thing we have to do is we have to do the partitioning of each strip equally. And then we have to write the unit fraction inside each unit. And then finally we have to shade the answer. Okay? So the first one is done for us. They got a sample. So that's always helpful. Now I know exactly what to do. The fraction in unit form that they want us to build is 2/3. They wrote it numerically as 2/3 or 2/3. They came over here, they partitioned their strip by drawing a line here and here, and they made 3 equal parts. Then they labeled each part with the unit fraction, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Notice each one of those just counting 1 part. And then they shaded 2/3. So they shaded like this and like this. So this is important, boys and girls. When you get ready to shade, God bless you, I don't want you to shade over your labeled unit fraction because then we won't be able to see it. So you're going to shade just like I did on either side of the fraction you wrote. Does that make sense? You'll see me when we do the next one. All right, the first one we have to do is 3/4. This is unit form. How do we write it numerically? We write 3/4. fourths. All right, now we have to come over here and we have to partition our strip into fourths. Remember how we make fourths. Eli, the first thing we do is we split it down the middle. So go ahead and split your thing down the middle. And then you take each one of these and you split them in half. And now if you do it that way, your parts should be pretty equal. They might not be exact, but they should look pretty good. Very good, Ori. All right, so we have 4 equal parts. So our unit is what, Raghav?
The unit is fourths.
Okay, next thing we have to do is write the unit fraction inside each part. So we're counting 1 each time. And then finally we have to shade the answer. So they want us to shade 3/4. Now this is where I want you to make sure you're not coloring over your answer. So I'm going to shade 1/4. Count with me, class. 1/4. 2/4. 3/4. And that one is done for you. All right, let's look at the next one. The next one is sevenths. 3/7. This is unit form. Go ahead and write it numerically. How would we write 3/7 numerically? 3/7. 7 total parts, 3 are shaded. So if we want 7 parts in that strip, who remembers how many lines will we have to draw? We learned that one of our very first lessons, Val.
We will have to draw 6 lines.
We'll have to draw 6 lines. Very good. We want 7 parts, we draw 6 lines. Thank you for remembering that. Now, let's go ahead and do it. If they don't look equal, I want you to erase and move it over. So you might want to draw your lines lightly. Okay, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I did my best. They might not be perfect. Oh, I drew 7 lines, so I got too many. I need 6 lines. You're right, 3, 4. Now I got too many. So sometimes it takes a while to really get it right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After you've drawn your lines, let's go ahead and count, make sure we do indeed have 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go ahead and label each part with your unit fraction. Label each part with the unit fraction. Each one will be 1/7. How do we know they're 7s? Because there's 7 equal parts. We drew 6 lines. And then we have to shade 3/7. So go ahead and build that non-unit fraction of 3/7. And how do we do it? We shade 3/7. So I'm going to shade around my fraction. So friends at home, if you could also try to do that, so we can still see that you labeled each part. 1/7, 2/7, 3/7. Oh, we shaded too many. We're only supposed to shade 3/7, right? Okay, the next one, 4/5. How do we write that numerically? Lucas, how will I write 4/5 numerically?
4 on top and 5 on top.
Yep, 4 is my numerator, 5 is my denominator. If I want fifths, how many equal parts will I need, Hayden? Fifths, how many equal parts? Nope, not 4. How many equal parts will I need for fifths? Clea? 5 equal parts. Now, how many lines will I draw, Clea, for 5 equal parts?
4 lines.
Very good. Go ahead and partition your fraction strip into fifths by drawing 4 lines. Go ahead and label each one with a unit fraction, and then I'm going to ask you to shade 4/5. Very far. That's going to be way too big. All right, what did you label each one of your parts, Freya? Label each one?
4, 6.
No, what did you label each one? Make sure you're answering the question I'm asking. Corbin?
1,
1/5, very good. So we remember the directions say to label each one with the unit fraction, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. Now, what do we have to shade? We have to shade 4/5. So count with me, class, and let's shade. 1/5, 2/5. Well, let's hear everybody count and shade. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. Okay, now I'm going to ask you, what fraction is not shaded? What part or what fraction is not shaded? Eli? Val, what part is not shaded?
The part that's not shaded is 1/5.
1/5, very good.
Because we only need 4/5 and not 5/5.
Very good.
If we have 5/5, then all of
All right, now next. I was going to let you do this one independently, but I want to show you the best way to make 6. So 2/6 is unit form. Let's write it numerically. 2/6 equals what, class? 2/6. Go ahead and write it. Now, how do we make 6? Remember the day we folded our fraction strips? And we started with thirds. So let's divide our thing into 3 equal parts, which means 2 lines. So you want to make 6, you start with thirds. Now I don't want 3 parts though, I want 6 parts. So what will I do, Lucas?
You will go line down each third.
Yeah, I'll split each third in half again. So go ahead and split your thirds in half again. And then you should have some pretty nice looking 6. Go ahead and label each one with your unit fraction. And then show me how you can shade 2/6, build that non-unit fraction. So remember to label each one with the unit fraction, and then shade 2/6. How do we do that? 1/6. 2/6. Okay? All right, word problem is next. Go ahead and read that to yourself. Underline your notes. All right, the problem reads, Mr. Stevens bought 8 liters of soda for a party. His guests drank 1 liter. So let's underline what we know. He bought 8 liters of soda, and his guests drank 1 liter. And what do we have to figure out? What fraction of the soda did his guests drink? So we have to make sure our answer is in the form of a fraction. Go ahead and circle that. We want to make sure our answer is in the form of a fraction. All right, if I have 8 liters of soda, let's draw our fraction strip. How many parts do you think I should partition my fraction strip into to show 8 liters of soda? Hayden? No, how many parts? So you keep thinking lines, bud. I'm asking, how many parts should I make? Ori?
You can make 8.
We want to make 8 parts to show our 8 liters. Remember how we do that, Freya? Are you remembering? First we divide your fraction strip in half. Then we divide each half in half. And now we have 4 parts, but we need 8 parts, so we're going to divide each one in half again. Make sure when you're done that you count to make sure you have 8 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so anytime you go to make fourths, you're going to make halves and divide those in half. If you want to make eighths, you make fourths and you divide your fourths in half and you'll have eighths. Okay? All right, so let's do what we did on all the other ones. Let's go ahead and label each one with the unit fraction. Each one represents 1/8. Okay, now they drank 1 liter of soda. So what did we do on the other ones? We shaded, right? Let's shade 1 liter. And I'm going to label this with a D for drank. Okay, now ask us, what fraction of the soda did his guests drink? Let's write our TS. They drank. We need a fraction. What did they drink? They drank 1. No, that's not a fraction. They drank 1/8. So that's what a lot of say. You say, well, they drank 1 liter, but they told us that, right? They want us to convert that into a fraction. That's why we circled this. We need to say what fraction of the soda did his guest drink. Okay? Now, the next question, part B, says, what fraction, so circle fraction, because we have to answer in the form of a fraction, what fraction of the soda was left? Well, let's draw a bar. All of this is left, right? So let's draw a bracket here from all the ones that aren't shaded. And now let's count those, class, okay? That is what is left. Go ahead and label it as left. That makes sense? All right, now let's count what fraction of the soda was left. Count with me, class. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. What fraction was left? 7/8 of the soda was left. So that's our TS. 7/8 was left. You could say 7 liters was left, but that's not what they wanted. They wanted a fraction. They're making you practice the idea of equal groups. Okay? How do we feel about that? Fist to 5. Fist to 5. How are we feeling? Okay, let's turn the page. We have another one of those cool charts to fill in. Yes. It is like a tape diagram. Very good. I love everything. Okay, you're on the next page and you're looking at that chart. And luckily, they gave us a sample again. I would look at the headings of the chart as I try to figure out what I'm going to have to do. It just says fill in the chart. So as we read our headings, give me a second to erase the board here. The first heading says total number of equal parts. That sounds familiar. The next heading says total number of equal parts shaded. The next one says the unit fraction, and then we have to write the fraction shaded. So Caden up here, let's look at the sample and see how they did the sample, shall we? Here's their picture, okay? There are how many equal parts? 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. Total number of shaded equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 3 shaded parts. The unit fraction, what are we working with? We're working with 1/4. And what fraction is shaded? Well, let's count it. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Now, what I might suggest is that you go ahead and label, like we did in the other ones, each one 1/4, and luckily you can do it now numerically, and you don't have to write units for it. So we're going to add that to our pictures, because it's a good thing to do. All right? Okay, let's look at the next one. And I'm going to call on some people to help me. All right, so Raga, how many equal parts in A? 9 equal parts. How many parts are shaded, Raga? Very good. What's my unit fraction if I have 9 equal parts, Raga? Very good, 1/9. Where did he get that? The 1 is, unit fraction always means 1. And our denominator is 9 because there's 9 equal parts. Our unit is 9. And now we have to count the fraction shaded. So let's count, class. 1/9, 2/9, 3/9, 4/9, 5/9. Kaden, do you see how that works out to be 1/9 here? Because it's a unit fraction. Unit means 1. Okay? All right, now, I would probably go in and label each one with a 1/9. You can write your fraction like this if you run out of room. Make your line slanted. So go ahead and label each one 1/9. We're going to do maybe 2 more together, and then I'll let you do the last 2 independently, okay? All right, let's look at the next one. I need someone to help me with that. How many equal parts in B? Jackson is not here. Kalia, how many equal parts in B?
There are 7 equal parts in B.
Very good. I love your complete sentence. How many equal parts are shaded?
There are 3 equal parts shaded.
Very good. What's our unit fraction if we have 7 equal parts?
1/7.
Nice. 1/7. Remember, 7 is the number of equal parts. That's how we identify it. And then what fraction is shaded, honey?
3/7.
Yeah, very good. Let's go ahead and label it 1/7. Each one 1/7. Then we count the shaded parts. 1/7, 2/7, 3/7 is shaded. Okay, so I lied, boys and girls. I'm going to let you friends at home do the last 3 independently. Remember to refer back to the ones we did. Please make sure you're labeling each part in your poll with your unit fraction and complete the chart. We've done 3. You have 3 to do on your own, okay? And you guys will do that as well this afternoon, okay? Not right now.